This automation will put call centers out of business. Let me just show you.
Hi, Matt. This is Max calling from Automation Systems. I see you recently reached out through our website forum about business automation solutions. I have about 3-4 minutes. Is this a good time to quickly understand what you're looking for so I can point you in the right direction?
Yes, I have some time.
Great. Just to confirm, you're looking into automating some business processes to save time and reduce manual work. Is that right? What specific area of Max Plumbing Solutions is taking up too much time right now?
Well, our marketing guy just left, and I need some help with our marketing for the next couple of months.
I understand you're dealing with marketing. That's exactly what we help businesses solve. A few quick questions to see if we're a good fit. How are you currently handling marketing since your person left? And roughly, how much time does your team spend on marketing each week?
Well, we do the editing, the scripting, the filming, everything basically in house. And I would put it around, we're spending basically 3 days every week on this.
That makes sense. Sounds like this is costing you significant time and money. To help recommend the right solution, most of our automation projects fall between $5,000 to $50,000 depending on complexity. Does that align with what you were considering for this type of investment?
Well, I'm looking at my budget, and I've got, or I was paying, $10,000 per year on my guy.
Got it. Thanks. When are you hoping to have a solution in place? Is this something you need to address in the next few months, or are you planning ahead for next year?
As soon as possible.
Got it. And are you the person who would make the final decision on bringing in this kind of solution, or would you be working with others on the evaluation?
Yeah, I'm basically the business owner.
Got all of that. Hold on while I note all of that. I really appreciate you taking the time to get in this call with me. Perfect. Based on what you've shared, I think we can definitely solve this for you, and it sounds like a great fit. I'd love to show you exactly how we'd handle marketing for your business. Do you have 30 minutes right now where one of our people could walk you through a quick demo and we can discuss the specific solution?
I'm actually not available right now, but maybe on Friday.
Excellent. So I'll send you a calendar link right after this call so you can pick a Friday time that works best. So you'll get a confirmation email with all the details. Is matthewandrobles@gmail.com the best email to send that to?
Yes.
Perfect. You should receive that calendar link within the next few minutes at matthewandrobles@gmail.com. I'm excited to show you how we can save your team hours each week on marketing. Is there anything else I can answer for you before we hop off?
Yeah, none for now.
Excellent. Talk to you soon, Matt. Have a great
Let's go. Now, let's check Google Sheets. If that, there we go. Let's go. It took me quite a while in order to build all of this stuff because it's much more, bigger than the other projects that I've worked with in these videos. After the end of the call, it updated the sheet to a hot lead with a qualification score of 9. Budget range is around 5K to 15K. Timeline is immediate. Authority level is decision maker. The next action would be book meeting. It just updated the other ones. You can even view the actual call recording, and then the transcript is also here. What did I say? I promised and I delivered. So this has been one of the cooler projects that I've worked with in a while now. I'm just gonna basically lay everything in front of you, grab your popcorns, and I'll show you everything. I'm gonna try my best to lay everything out for you as simple as I can. We're gonna start with discussing the flow of everything and then the components of how we built this. We used Retell AI, Google Sheets, and a mix of N8N to just power our Retell AI for additional capabilities such as accessing our Google Sheets, sending emails, and so on. So let's first start with the flow. Right. I think with any voice AI agent that is a little more comprehensive, such as this one, you gotta have like smooth flow of how your voice AI should talk to your users or your leads or your customers. Whether that would be a script or a flow chart, I just want to show you how everything works on a high level. First, they start off with a greeting. We don't want to be spelling out a bunch of words right off the bat when we just call them. Maybe they're driving, they're cooking, they're doing something important, and we don't want to be too disturbing with their time. So we're just going to ask for 3 to 4 minutes of their time. And if they say yes or no, there's a couple of paths that it could go. If they say yes and confirm interest, we're going to verify their automation need, ask about specific processes. But if they're busy, we ask them for a better time and then schedule another call. But if they ask questions, we can answer them and then build rapport. Maybe they just want to ask where did we come from, who are we, and that happens sometimes. But ultimately, we just want to know if we can get some of their time. If they do show interest, right, we're going to collect their pain points. how much time do they spend on processes. If they're a little vague, we can clarify. And then if they say no, we're just going to end the call because they're not interested with what we have. If they are interested, we're going to qualify for their budget. As mentioned during the call, they're asking or they're telling us how much is your budget. Typically, it ranges 5K to 50K. And then depending on their response, we can check immediately when do they need the service. That's for 15K and above. And finally, once we ask for their timeline, depending on whether they need it now, next week, next month, or just soon as possible, they're considered a hot lead and we want to capture their interest as soon as we can. So if it's 6 months or just researching, we're going to put them somewhere else. But if they are immediate to 6 months, we're just going to ask their authority level so that we know if they are the person that we should be talking to, not their assistant or virtual assistant. So if they are the decision maker, influencer, evaluator, we would like to talk to them because they are the ones who are going to be moving the needle in the process. But if they don't have any authority, we're going to ask them who we should contact. And then finally, this is like the special thing about this one is we calculate the score. We're going to call a function in N8N that will score the lead from 1 to 10. And depending on the score that our N8N gives, it will give us a couple of paths to take. So if they are above 7.5 or equal to 7.5, they're considered a hot lead. And that's like our priority. We would want to get in talks to them right now if possible. If they're not available, maybe at the end of the week or someday tomorrow or the other day. So we just want to capture hot leads when they're available. Then if they are from 5 to 7.4, they're considered a warm lead. And we're going to schedule a follow-up. If they're a cold lead, just researching or looking to implement this in 6 months, they're considered something for a longer term path, a research path, or maybe even like disqualified. And we would ideally want them to be in something like our newsletter so that they can keep in touch with us. We're able to capture their attention while they're still thinking about it, or maybe subconsciously they don't know that they need it. So we're going to put them in our newsletter. Final confirmation, thanks for your time, and then end the call. It's a very smooth flow from greeting to asking questions, calculating the score of the lead, saying the appropriate messages at the end to either book a call, schedule a follow-up, put them in newsletter. So that's our flow. It's very simple, but when you're going to put it in Retell AI, I use this conversational flow. There's a couple of options when you're creating a voice agent. You can either just go with a single prompt agent. It just asks for a single master prompt for everything. For example, this is our appointment reminder agent wherein we prompted it in just like one prompt. Cases wherein it's, for example, a lead qualification, payment collection, or anything that's more comprehensive, you're probably going to go with conversation flow agent. But let me show you, this is a multi-prompt agent before we move to the conversation flow. It's similar to the single prompt agent, but if you look at the bottom left, there's an edit prompt tree wherein you can specify multiple prompts depending on the stage. For example, this one has 2 stages. First is intro. We're going to introduce ourselves, confirm if they are Cindy, inform the user that you need to reschedule, and then ask if the user has questions. We move to rescheduling the appointment, which is more focused on just rescheduling. This one only has the cancel appointment tool. This one has check availability, book appointment tool. So that's just the main difference between single prompt and multi-prompt. Now, I think this is the bread and butter of Retell. I just prefer this more than just single prompting. This one, as you can see, it's a different interface, different look, and this is the signs that the flow is a conversation flow and not just single prompting. Just right off the bat, it has a pretty similar interface or flow diagram building tool such as N8N. It starts from left to right, and that's why actually it didn't take me too long to get used to it. And then on the left side, you've got a couple of things to be able to add to this canvas. So you can add a conversation, which is basically the nodes here. They're all conversation nodes. And in a conversation node, you can select either a prompt or static sentence. If it's a prompt, what you're going to put here is what the AI will say word for word. But here's the cool part. For the transition, for the paths, you can specify what are the possible responses of the user and which paths should it go to. So it's just drag and drop. For example, the greeting, say the greeting. And then for the first transition, if they say yes or if they say no. See there, we added a prompt transition. You're going to just tell what are the things that the AI should watch out for as a response from the user. If they say yes, you go here, for example. If they say no, you go here. That easy. But there's another thing here called the equation. So you can actually specify based on variables. If a specific condition happens to be true, you can also put at another path here. So I'm not going to go into this before I delete this. There's also node settings here. If you click this, skip response, the AI is just going to say this or whatever you prompted, and then it's not going to wait for any response from the user. It's just going to go straight to the next one. And then there's also what we call global node, which is my only example is this one. If in whatever part of the conversation, the user satisfies whatever you put here, then it's going to go to this node. If they show no interest, if the user got angry or is not interested at all, it's going to go to this one. Whatever whatever part they are in this flow. So they're gonna go here. We prompted to tell the user to feel free to reach back out if they change their minds, politely end the call. Then we script the response, then straight to end call. Maybe if they say a specific keyword or specific topic or specific person, maybe if they are looking for John, we can, speaking of that, call transfer, which is like really cool. So if you add a call transfer here, for example, they're looking for Matt, we can move them or transfer them to another call. And here we can set which number they're going to go to. If it's a static destination, it's going to just call this other number. AI provides a debrief to the next agent after transferring the call. For example, someone wants to transfer to Matt. I'm going to get a call because that's the number I specified here. And then the AI will tell me what the current conversation is about or who they're talking to. So super cool. Or if you just choose call transfer, then we're going to go through the whole thing. Hey, who is this? Oh, sorry. Yeah. This is Matt and blah, 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 blah. That's a pretty cool node. You actually can even use dynamic routing. If they want to reach out to support, we're going to call this one. But if they're going to want to reach to sales, transfer to this line. That's transfer call. Next is the function call. You can basically add functionality. If you want it to check availability on your calendar on cal.com, I haven't like configured it yet, but you can do that here. This is another cool thing. You can also ask them to press a digit. And if they, for example, press the number 1, you can route them to a different path. If they press 2, and so on. For example, when they press 1, something like this. And then when they press 2, when they press 3. So this isn't available on N8N or on other platforms. Again, this is a super cool thing about Retell. Next, logic split node. If and else, if you have encountered that before, it's going to be super similar to this one. Agent transfer. If you've got like another agent that's supposed to, for example, handle refunds, you've got a refund agent, you can also transfer them to that agent. SMS. If you want to send an SMS directly using Retell with that number, I just don't have that for now. And then extract variable. When they were asking what's our budget, we extract the budget using this extract variable node. Every time we ask a question, we extract the variable so that we can reference it later. And then MCP. I've got my Google Calendar, Gmail, and Sheets MCP here. Depending on my use case, I can control my Google Calendar. I can add new rows or update rows on Google Sheet and even send an email on Gmail. It's that smart. For example, when they show no interest, we can then send them an email and then successfully sends an email. Oh my goodness, my typing skills. We can then end the call, right? Something like this. So there's no send email native function here or native node. So we're going to use MCP for that or even a function. But I like MCP because it's easier. And finally, we've got the ending. If you want at any point, just end the call. You can have an end call node. And we've got one here at the very end. So now that you know the nodes that you can add on the workflow, let's look at the Google Sheet so that you understand what data we have here. It's a simple Google Sheet that contains the lead ID, which is a formula, their full name, phone number, email, lead source, wherein it specifies where they came from, whether it's a contact form, Google Ads, LinkedIn, their company. So usually you would have like this lead list wherever it's stored, maybe on your CRM, Airtable, Salesforce, or whatever. You can have like an industry, when this was submitted, the status, and then the other valuable information that we'll be getting on the call. Right now, most of them are blank. And then all of these were actually filled up by our AI agent. That's our Google Sheet. And these are all dummy data. I set all the phone numbers to my phone number. Our email is also just mine, just for simplicity's sake. And by the way, before I forget, I actually received an email of the summary of the call a while ago. Sorry, not summary, but like thanks for the call, book the call here. So since we were considered a hot lead, we sent an email to them, and this was supposed to be like an actual booking link, but I think you get the point. So that's our Google Sheet. The only triggers that I put here is when it's a pending call as the next action, it's going to call these leads. So as long as there's a pending call in the next action column, it's just going to call those leads. So the other details will be fetched by the agent. And finally, this is our NRN. This is our main function. So it's going to run every 9 a.m. or when you click this button. And then it's going to read through the Google Sheet that I just showed you. And then one by one, it's going to call them using Retell AI. It's going to usually take, 3 to 5 minutes. You can increase this as much as you like. But after a couple of minutes, assuming that the call has ended, it's going to call the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. And then we can actually call them all at the same time. Retell AI allows you to basically call a max of 20 people at a time. So 20 people the AI is talking to. That's freaking insane. In order to make sure that we don't go past 20, I just set it up wherein it's going to call them one by one. And then after each call, it's going to read the Google Sheet and then send an email to us informing that we called the lead. Here's the details of the call. Next, remember when I told you the special thing about this voice AI is that we are calculating the score based on what they provided in the call. If they are a decision maker, if they are wanting the service in the next month or immediately, this AI agent is the one that scores everything. And it's all through this prompting. So based on the budget, based on the timeline, based on authority, interest or need scoring. We're just passing the budget range, timeline, authority level, pay level, and then at the very end, it should output the qualification score, lead category, next action, priority, and all the good stuff. The AI agent does the thinking for us, does the scoring. This can now be called by our voice AI agent, and that's how it was able to go to the correct path. So if the qualification score that you received from the AI agent is above 7.5, it's going to go here. And if you go back during the demo, it went to the hot lead path. As mentioned, we have the MCP. So this is the only thing that you need if you're going to build MCPs. It's an MCP server trigger. You can do that by searching MCP server trigger. You add that here, and then you're just gonna add tools. So right now I've got these tools, but this can do so much more. So you can connect it to Airtable, Sana, what else? Like Monday.com, any tool that you want, you can connect it to your MCP and use that as an MCP here to give the voice agent extra power. And then finally is the post call analysis. The way or the reason why we are able to modify this part at the end of the call was because of this coding. The webhook will receive the data from Retell, and then it's automatically going to determine the path, whether it's a hot lead, warm lead, cold lead. It's going to go to this one if it's a hot lead. And that's what happened a while ago. It's updating the qualification score, budget range, and all the good stuff. So that's our whole setup. We've got Retell, which contains the flow and the prompts of the conversation and handles like all the talking. We put the webhook here, which we got from this one. So we copied the production URL, we pasted it here on the webhook settings. Every after end of the call is going to send data to N8N here, and that updates the Google Sheet. And this is the main function that goes through each and every one. This calculates the score, which is used here. Google Sheet houses all the data. So that's like the high level overview. Let me show you how we developed it in Retell AI. Might take you a couple of minutes or even an hour to set up. When you get a hang of it, it's super easy. Remember what I told you in our flowchart? The very first part is the greeting. And this is what I did. I have this sample script so that we don't necessarily have different scripts all the time. I specified a sample script, and then I just put this little bit here. Tell the user something like, so that it can be a little creative, but not too much. It's gonna reference the script, and then when the user says yes, as told in the flowchart, it's gonna go to confirming the interest, which is again here, right? Shows interest. And if they mention specific processes, we're going to extract the process. This is a conversation node. This is a extract variable node. We're trying to get the user mentioned process. Wait, before like I get ahead of myself, if you click on the begin node, you can specify if the AI speaks first or the user speaks first. In this case, I just said that the AI speaks first. If that is the case, it's just going to immediately say this. As I told you, if they're not sure or vague, look at the flowchart. We clarify their need. We're going to ask them, get specific examples. If they're not sure or they're vague, it goes to a different path. It first asks the user what processes do they usually do on a regular basis. And I do want to say, I didn't like show this on the demo. If you're trying to ask the AI questions, it's not going to go to the next node until it is able to satisfy this. For example, if we're asking them what processes do they usually do on a regular basis, and then the user asks us, hey, what again is your company or something like that, it's totally unrelated. It's not going to go back to this node. It's not going to move to the next node. It's gonna stay here until this specific like criteria is met. Until we are able to find a process we can help with, it's gonna stay in this conversation node before it moves to the next one. I've also already tested it out. And the reason why we don't have anything connected here, if they say no, or if they're busy, or if they show no interest, again, this is the one that's gonna like handle all of those conversations. Moving to the next part, if we're able to get the process from them, we're going to now collect their need. How much is their pain point? How much hours are they spending on that specific task? Or who, or like basically what's their problem? The reason why they need to solve that specific process. Remember what I told the AI a while ago? We were spending 8 hours, we were doing everything. We have someone who left. If they provided good details, we're gonna move to the next part. And I'm not gonna continuously like go back and forth these tabs. Just know that it's all based on the flowchart that we just developed at the very first part. That's why it's super important to develop that flowchart first before developing the actual voice agent, so that you have a really good idea on the paths that it's gonna go to. You can even go to something like Claude or ChatGPT. Hey, ChatGPT, make me flowchart of a conversation for my lead qualification agent. And it should give you something like this. Actually, we forgot something here. Like we were asking how much time does our team spend on it each week? We can add like an extract variable here, and we can name the variable like something like time spent each week. And then the time spent each week as specified by the user. You can specify the variable type, whether it's a number, boolean, or enum. Usually you would just go with text. I think the most appropriate for this one is text. If they just say 8, we're not sure if that's 8 minutes, 8 hours, 8 days, right? And then after that, we ask them how much is their budget. I do want to say before this, I was doing something like 5K to 50K. And what was happening is that the AI would be saying $5K to $50K. And it was messing up the conversation. It would be immediately classified as an AI. So I think for best practices, if you are dealing with numbers, do not use shortcuts. Just use the actual number here. So if it's 5 million, just say 5 million here. If they mention whichever from these answers, we're going to extract that variable. Same with the timeline. We're just going to extract the variable. Authority level, same thing. And then this is where the unique thing about this one is we added a custom function. And the way that I was able to do this is, remember on N8N, we have this calculate score webhook. It's just a webhook, similar to the post call analysis. If you want to add a webhook, just search webhook. And then when you click on this one, you are now able to add a new webhook here. And then just copy the production URL, put it here in the API endpoint, make sure that it is post. We just named it calculate qualification score. We gave it a good description. Here's like another thing. I noticed that during the execution of this one, you can go to executions. And when I was testing it out, it was taking around 13, 16, 20 seconds, 13 seconds, sometimes 17, 15. So we can see it's running this agent for 13.199 seconds. And by default, this is just 120,000, I think. I just set it as, 20 or 200,000. Here's like where you're going to put what you're going to pass in. Remember, for this to work, for our AI agent to properly score them, the AI agent needs some bit of data. And as you can see, we need the budget range, timeline, authority level, pain level. So what you're going to do here is check this part, payload, args only, and then specify those variables, those parameters. So budget range, all of the 4 here is what you're seeing here. We just added like a quick description, like what the user said about their budget range. So remember, we were collecting those variables here, budget range, timeline, authority level. We used those here, parameter name. So this is the reason why we collected those variables in the first place, so that when we're going to call our calculate score webhook, which is this one, and we're configuring the custom function, we're able to pass it here. It's a string, which is just another word for text. So it's a text. All of those are text, and all of those are required. So we checked all of these. Remember, when we configured this AI agent, we specified that these are the things that you're going to generate. During the execution of this AI agent scoring, I was able to determine that the lead qualification score is 8, lead category is hot lead, and so on. Now, in order for us to be able to use this later on our Retell AI, we need to specify them as response variables. Lead category, budget category. You are able to see this here. Lead category, budget category. Make sure that the respond is using respond to webhook node, so that whatever this outputs, it's going to be the one that's going to go back to Retell. These are enclosed in this output variable. And that's why we're saying output.budget category. So you need to make sure that when you're setting the response variables, you are properly fetching it, properly mapping it based on the output here. If this is called response, if this is called result, or whatever else, or maybe inside this curly braces, there's another curly braces and another curly braces, you're able to do that using the dot notation. What you can do is you can screenshot this and then go to ChatGPT, put the response variables here if this is my variables or this my data. ChatGPT will be able to help guide you on that one. In my case, it just output that next action, not output that lead category. These response variables are very important, as you will see later. That's our calculate qualification score. When we're now in this conversation, I just tick this speak during execution. The reason why it told us, got all of that, hold on while I note all of that, because calling this function takes, 13 seconds, 20 seconds, 60 seconds. If you don't check this, it's just gonna be silent. And the user or the lead is just gonna be confused. What's happening? Why did the person I'm talking to just become quiet? Right? It's very weird. So you gotta check this box and then wait for the result. Because again, it takes longer than usual. 20 seconds is a lot of time, especially when you're on a call. Since we fetch the qualification score here, qualification score, using output.qualification score, you can now use that as an equation transition. What we did here was if the qualification score, since it's a number generated by our AI agent, if it's more than 7.5 or equal to 7.5, it's going to go to this path. So pretty cool, right? Less than 7.5, they are considered a warm lead, and that could be another path. You're going to send them a different email. Maybe you're going to convince them to become a hot lead or something like that. Or maybe you can transfer them to another person who's responsible for that. For simplicity's sake, what I just did is if they're a warm lead, we just told them, I'll be following up with you in a couple of weeks. If they say yes, we just end the call. We just record that on our Google Sheet. If they're a cold lead, we're just asking them if they want to be part of our newsletter. So if they say yes, then we end the call. If no, they don't want newsletter, they're gonna go here and handle no interest. So that's why you need this handle no interest, so that in any part here that they're not interested, it goes there. We're almost there. So when they're a hot lead, we ask them if they're available for 30 minutes right now. Because again, we want to capture them on the call while they're still very much interested with what we have. So we ask them if they have 30 minutes right now where one of our people could walk you through a quick demo. So if they say yes, we're going to transfer the call to another person, a live person. But actually, this isn't available if you are just using the web version of this one. If they fail to be transferred, so as you can see, that's a transition. If they say not now, maybe next week or this Friday, we're gonna just tell them, excellent, I'm gonna send you a calendar link right after this call where you can pick a time that works best for you. And we can actually add an MCP here or another function which would go through our Google Calendar, fetch all our available like time slots, and then even recommend sometimes that might work with them. The bottom line is this is where you're going to lead them to a call with you. For simplicity's sake, we just told them we're going to send them an email. Is the email address best one to send that to? So if that is the email, then we're just going to confirm it. But if not, I actually put it here wherein we're going to ask them what email do they want to use. And then if they're able to give their whole valid email during the call, we're going to recite it again just to confirm if we got the correct email. We're going to update that using the MCP. And that's why we have the MCP. This MCP is going to make sure that we update the email during the call. And after that, it's going to go here as well. The flow is pretty seamless. If it goes here, it still goes back to the main flow. And the final confirmation is just saying, I'm excited to show you how we can save your team hours each week. Is there anything else I can answer for you before we hop off? So we're just asking if they have like any more questions before ending the call. If none, we're just gonna say talk to you soon. Have a great day and then end the call. By the way, when you're gonna test this out, like I did, you're going to supposed to add dynamic variables here. So make sure to click on this one, and these variables should show up whether it's already set or not. And then you can just type whatever value you have there. Math, website form, your email, company. So if you add another, for example, you've got like a new variable here, such as I don't know, time per week. If this gets saved, it technically there we go. It automatically appears here. So I'm gonna delete that. Doesn't make sense, and it's automatically deleted there as well. And then when you test it out, just make sure when I click on any other part here, aside from the nodes, it's gonna bring you to the global settings. And the only thing that I added here or changed was the model. I just set it to be GPT-5 mini, which I personally think is like the best in terms of the cheapest as well as smartest. If you go to something like GPT-5 or GPT-4, it's super expensive. So make sure to set it with 5 mini. As you can see, it's just 0.082 per minute. I don't know how much are call centers, but I'm gonna bet that this is super cheap. And then you also have like a global prompt. Aside from the conversation prompts here in each of the nodes, you also have the main global prompt here, wherein you specify the band framework. This is important, especially when you're qualifying lead context. So that the main agent knows their name, the company they're from. Remember, if you go back to the demo, they're able to know that we are from Max Plumbing, right? The one that we specified here, Max Plumbing Solutions, because of this one. The source and then the inquiry and then just so that the main agent knows what its goal is, whatever node they are in, whatever part of the conversation they're in. You got to put like a global prompt here. So the reason why it was that good is because we mixed in the global prompt, which whatever node they're in, and the conversation prompt. So it's multiple prompts. And as you can see, like if you're just testing this out, it shows you like step by step which conversation we are in. For example, if we start this again, it directly goes there.
Hi, Matt. This is Max calling from Automation Systems. I see you
Yes, I'm
recently reached
available
out
right
through our
now.
website. Great. Thanks.
Boom, like it's able to like show you step by step and even test if you're just using a single prompt, you don't know what part of the conversation you're in, and that's like the beauty of the conversation flow builder. And then finally, I didn't add any knowledge bases. And then post call analysis, we didn't even add one. But for example, if you want to have an AI that analyzes the whole call, you can extract a couple of details like where do they live, what is their job, or what is their income range, something like that. And then I just added the webhook here. So that's basically our Retell AI agent setup. I know that was a lot, but I hope you learned a lot from that one. I am not going to discuss in detail all of this. If you want the whole JSON for the template of this lead qualification system, type lead on the comments and I'll send it over to you. It's just too much for this one video. I just wanted to show you the whole thing. But if you want like an even more in-depth guide for this one, just comment down below. If we really think about it, this system is super powerful because if you've got like, for example, 1,000 leads on your Google Sheet or system or CRM, and you're gonna hire a call center from the Philippines, might not be able to be up to your level. They might get sick, they might say the wrong words, they might have an accent. Basically, AI, you can control every single detail from the path that it goes to the words that it say, to the accent that it uses. You can change the voice here. You can make it do stuff like check the Google Calendar, add new Google Sheet rows, use an MCP, transfer it to a live agent. You can imagine in a world where instead of having 100 people at your disposal in a call center, you can have like 10. And then most of it will just be handled by your voice AI agents. It's cheaper, it's more efficient, and I can argue that it's actually better because this is going to run 24/7. It does not get sick, it does not get tired, and that's just the power of voice AI agents. I haven't like discussed this yet, but you can create test cases so that you can add, for example, a successful hot lead, warm lead, cold lead. You can test them over and over again using this test simulation testing feature. You can replicate it easy just by copying this agent ID and setting it up on N8N. So I have no more words. Like that's the power of voice. And I hope you liked it. If you have any more suggestions, let me know. But that will be the video for now. Thanks. Bye.